This is the inside of the Elddis Autoquest 175. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on the master switch just here. Once we've done this, we can turn the entrance lighting on and off just on this switch just here, and then all of the other interior lights are turned on and off on their own individual switches. We have awning light on and off just here, and then we have water pump on and off just here. You need the water pump on so you can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's being drained down. Whenever the pump is actually running, the green light will illuminate to let you know. The red light will illuminate when the grey water tank needs emptying. At the top here we have the voltage of the leisure battery, and if I now hold down the water switch, we then go by the blue gauge, and then we can roughly work out how much water is in the fresh tank. The heating and hot water controls are just by the television, and up the top here you will see we have the water heater. If we want to heat water via mains electricity, if we're hooked up, we come across to this rocker switch just here. If it's in the middle, it's off. If I flick it up to the one wavy line, we're using mains electricity using about 1 kilowatt. And if I flick it down, we're using mains electricity at about 2 kilowatts. So you can use 1 kilowatt if you're on a very low amp site to try and avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can heat hot water on gas, and all we need to do is just flick this switch here. The boiler will self-ignite itself, and once it's lit, a green light will illuminate to let you know. If it fails to light, a red light will begin to flash. You can also get the red light flashing if you're trying to heat hot water on main supply and you have no mains connected. And as you can see now, it's lit perfectly well. If you do get the red light appear, once you think you've rectified the problem, you will need to reset this control panel. And if it's a gas issue, just literally turn it on and off. Be quite violent with it because it won't reset otherwise. And if it's a main supply issue, just do the same again until the red light disappears. If we now drop down, we then have the controls for the heating. So this dial here just literally controls the temperature, and then we have power source selection just here. So we have one wavy line, again mains electricity, but this time at about 500 watts. Two wavy lines, main supply at about 1 kilowatt. And then 3 wavy lines, mains electricity at about 2 kilowatts. So again, just dependent on the ampage of the site. If you have both power sources available, you can put the heating in dual fuel mode, and it will use a mixture of the gas and mains electricity. On a warm day, you can just put it onto this little picture of the fan just here, and then it will just circulate the air around. And if you have no main supply, you can flick it onto the little picture of the flame, and again, like the boiler, once it's lit, a green light will illuminate. And again, if there's any problem with either the heating or the hot water, with the heating either on main supply or gas, you'll get a red light flashing. The way the red light flashes is basically like Morse code, and then if you look in the manual, it will tell you what the problem is. And again, to reset it, just on and off, but again quite quickly until the red light disappears. And again, as you can see, the green light has now come on, indicating that it has lit. if I now come to this bench seat and just remove the cushions, and I now just lift up, you can see underneath here that we have the space heater just there. We then have the water pump just here and the surge dampener for it. We then have the gas isolation switch just there for the heating, and then we have the gas isolation switch just there for the boiler. They're both in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn off the gas bottle. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's all just done on this yellow lever just here. Firstly, just make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then just flap the yellow lever upright like so, and then it will drop all the water out of the boiler directly underneath the motorhome at this point. If you are fully winterizing the motorhome, I always suggest that you then also go round and open up all of the taps. This will help release the airlocks in the system and make it drain down far more efficiently. When it comes to refilling the boiler, make sure all of the taps are closed. Fill up the fresh water tank. Reclose the boiler drain valve, and then turn on the water pump, and then it will begin to refill the boiler. Let the pump run for a few minutes and then begin opening up the taps. They will basically cough and splutter as they just force the air out. Once they're running both freely on hot and cold, reclose, and then the system will fully reprime itself. Underneath the opposite bench seat there is storage, and also the back of the leisure battery box just there, and you can see just here the main fuse, which is a 25 amp off the leisure battery itself. Just tucked here is the consumer unit, so you will see that we have the individual MCBs just here, the main RCD and the test button. So if anything is not working on main supply, just check to see if you've basically tripped. Tucked down here we then have the 12 volt fuses, and again if anything is not working on 12 volt, just check to see if a fuse has blown. The battery charger itself just sits at the top, at the back here of the consumer unit, so just make sure that it is kept ventilated so it does not overheat. In the overhead locker just here is the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof. Just make sure that it is turned on, and once it's turned on you can then tune in the television. Obviously as you change location it will need to be retuned in. Next we have the microwave. Always advisable to make sure that all contents are removed for travel. The isolator switch for it is just here. And then we have auto cook at the top, power settings, defrost, etc. as all the normal that you would find. quick start at the bottom and stop. Then we have the Dometic fridge freezer, on and off just here. If you're connected to main supply, to run the fridge on mains, just make sure that it's on the little picture of the 2-pin plug just here. If you do not have main supply, you can run the fridge on gas by putting it onto the little flame. It will auto ignite itself. If it fails to light, it will begin to beep at you and you'll get a red flashing triangle just here. To make it attempt to try and light again, just press this button just here. And then lastly we have a little picture of a battery, and this one is 12 volt maintain. This is the one we have it on to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. So if I press it at the moment, it's going to beep at us because we do not have the engine running. Temperature control just here. Gas isolation tap for the fridge is just there. We then have the gas hob, and to light this it's just a matter of pushing in, twisting and then coming down and just pressing the igniter just down here. Beneath that is the grill, and again just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then lastly the oven. Storage beneath the oven, and you'll also find the gas isolation taps for the hob and the oven itself just here. We then have the washroom at the rear. So we have the basin, and then the Thetford toilet. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across, and then blue button to flush at the top, and then just reclose. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left it open. And then a level indicator for the cassette just here, so this will illuminate to let you know when it needs emptying. We then have the shower cubicle just here. And then the nice big large wardrobe just here. Smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarms just here. And then the PIR sensor for the alarm just here. On this particular model of motorhome, as you can see, you can quite easily have 2 single beds or a double. If you are going to have a double, it's very easy. It's just a matter of sliding both sections out so they meet in the middle. and then just dropping in the backrest cushions into the centre. All of these cushions can be flipped over if you wish. This makes the bed slightly less bumpy, but it is just down to personal preference. As you can see, both passenger and driver seats rotate round, and they rotate round just on the side levers just here, and then you can adjust it by pulling it backwards and forwards just on this lever here. They are also both height adjustable on these two levers, and then you have the normal backrest adjustment just there, and then the armrests.